In the heart of a vibrant, untouched national park, a sanctuary of lush green and teeming life, an unlikely alliance stood sentinel. King Kong, the colossal primate whose very presence was a myth brought to life, stood shoulder to shoulder with a lion of immense size, its mane a crown of sun-kissed gold, its form radiating pure power. For a moment, there was a surreal peace. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and blooming flowers, the symphony of the wild playing its ancient tune. Kong's gaze swept across the sprawling canopy, a silent guardian, while the lion's ears twitched, catching a sound that didn't belong. Suddenly, a tremor, faint at first, then growing in intensity, rattled the very foundations of the earth. It wasn't an earthquake, it was something else, something rhythmic, something alive. The ground beneath their feet vibrated with a deep, unsettling pulse. Birds erupted from the treetops in a panicked cloud, their cries of alarm piercing the air. The smaller creatures of the forest scurried for cover, sensing an ancient terror awakened. Kong let out a low, guttural growl, his knuckles digging into the soft soil as he braced himself. The great lion lowered its head, its own growl a rumbling echo of Kong's, a deep baritone of defiance. The air grew heavy, charged with an electric dread. From the deepest, darkest part of the jungle, a shadow began to uncoil. It was a movement so vast it defied comprehension. Trees that had stood for centuries were pushed aside like mere saplings. Then it rose. A head, larger than a bus, scaled in iridescent patterns of black and green, lifted high above the canopy. Two yellow, slitted eyes, cold and devoid of awe but hunger, fixed upon the two guardians. A forked tongue, long as a river, flickered out, tasting the air, and a hiss echoed through the valley, a sound that scraped at the soul. It was the Titanoboa, a prehistoric nightmare reborn, a serpent of such gargantuan proportions that it made the very forest look small. Its body, an endless river of muscle and scale, continued to emerge from the foliage, its sheer mass displacing the landscape. Without a moment's hesitation, Kong let out a deafening roar, a challenge that shook the mountains themselves. He beat his chest in a primal display of dominance, a thunderous drumbeat of war. He charged forward, each footfall a miniature earthquake, his eyes blazing with fury. This was his kingdom, and no monster would desecrate it. As Kong closed the distance, the great line became a blur of golden fur and raw speed. It launched itself from the ground, a living missile aimed at the serpent's flank. Its claws, like sharpened daggers, were extended, ready to tear into the snake's thick hide. The battle was joined. Kong's first punch landed on the Titanoboa's side with the force of a battering ram. The impact sent a shockwave through the serpent's body, but its scales were like armor plating. The snake hissed in a mixture of pain and rage, its massive head whipping around to strike. The lion, agile and ferocious, landed on the snake's back, digging its claws in and tearing at the scales, trying to find a weak point. The Titanoboa thrashed wildly, its colossal body a whirlwind of destruction. It coiled and uncoiled, trying to shake the lion off its back, its tail sweeping across the landscape and pulverizing ancient rock formations into dust. The national park, once a paradise, became a war zone. The Titanoboa, enraged by the relentless assault, began to use its immense size to its advantage. It coiled its body around a grove of giant redwood trees and squeezed, the ancient trunks groaning and splintering before collapsing into a heap of shattered wood. It struck at Kong, who met the attack with a powerful block, the force of the collision sending him staggering back. The lion, still clinging on, was thrown through the air as the snake bucked, but it landed with cat-like grace, immediately roaring and preparing for another attack. Fire erupted as sparks from grinding rock and splintered what ignited the dry underbrush. The air filled with a thick, acrid smoke, casting a hellish orange glow over the battlefield. The ground was a churned-up mess of mud, rock, and fallen trees. The sounds of the clash were deafening Kong's furious roars, the lion's guttural snarls, the Titanoboa's venomous hisses, and the constant, crashing symphony of destruction. The serpent was a force of nature, its every move reshaping the terrain. It slammed its tail down, creating deep fissures in the earth, and lunged with its fangs, trying to inject a venom that could fell a beast of even Kong's size. Kong fought with a cunning and brutality born of countless battles. He grabbed a massive, uprooted tree and wielded it like a club, smashing it against the Titanoboa's head. The snake recoiled, dazed for a moment, and in that instant, the lion saw its chance. It leapt again, this time aiming for the area just behind the serpent's massive skull, sinking its teeth deep into the flesh between the armored scales. The Titanoboa let out a shriek of agony, its body thrashing in a desperate frenzy. It tried to coil around Kong, to crush the life out of him, but the great ape was too strong, too resilient. He grabbed the coiling serpent and, with a display of unimaginable strength, began to unwrap it, his muscles straining against the snake's constricting power. The climax of the battle was at hand. The sky was dark with smoke, the earth trembled, and the forest burned. The lion, despite the violent thrashing, held on with a tenacity that was nothing short of heroic. Its jaws locked tight, preventing the snake from turning its head to bite Kong. Seeing its ally creating the perfect opening, Kong gathered all his remaining strength. He let out one final, earth-shattering roar that was a declaration of victory. He grabbed the Titanoboa's head with both hands, its jaw snapping just inches from his face. With the lion pinning its body and preventing it from coiling, Kong exerted every ounce of his colossal power. There was a sickening crack that echoed louder than any falling tree, and the Titanoboa's body went limp. The light in its cold, yellow eyes faded, and the great serpent collapsed, its immense weight shaking the ground one last time. The battle was over, the deadly encounter had ended. Kong stood panting, his chest heaving, while the great lion released its grip and stood beside him, both covered in the grime of battle. Silent guardians over the wasteland that was once their peaceful home. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this epic clash, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more Titanic battles. We'll see you in the next one.